Hey, welcome back to Ambassador Notes. Today we're going to start a new series, and we have some hard questions. These are questions that I want to respectfully ask our Muslim friends and neighbors, and I invite your responses and your thoughts. So, I've read the Quran, and I have had some honest conversations with Muslims, and I really appreciate their sincerity and devotion, at least the ones who are sincere and devout. Um, I'm not here to attack anyone, but I do have some questions. So, Muslims and Christians both respect Jesus. We have, of course, very different ideas about who he is and his role in history. But certainly, we both believe that he was born of a virgin, that he worked miracles, but we disagree on really what is absolutely a central event, which is the crucifixion. And the four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, tell us that Jesus was crucified. And if you read those narratives, you'll find that two of the people that were there at the foot of the cross were Mary, his mother, and John, who was one of his disciples, and also was actually a cousin of his. And so John would have known Jesus from the time that he was a little baby. So these are two of the people that are there at the foot of the cross. Yet the Quran says in chapter 4, or Surah 4, or Surah An-Nisa, the women, verse 157, that they neither killed him, meaning the Jews, they neither killed him nor did they crucify him, but it appeared so that they did. It was made to appear that they did. The Arabic is ma salabuhu wa ma qataluhu walakin shubiha lahum, or is it ma qataluhu wa ma salabuhu? Well, anyway, the grammar is a little bit obscure for shubiha, um, but the point is, Muslims throughout the centuries have translated this and understood this meaning that Jesus, in fact, was not crucified. Somebody else was put there in his place. And this means, if we're going to be honest about this, that Allah has allowed for Mary to be deceived because his very own mother was there. Ask yourself if that is a kind or ethical thing for Allah to do. That John was there, who would become one of the great authors and persons who spread the early Christian faith in the early centuries, and again, who was also a family member of Jesus. It also means that Allah has allowed for about one third of the world population today that is Christian. And it doesn't matter if you're talking about Protestants or Catholics or Orthodox, the crucifixion is absolutely essential for all of us. And we believe that without that crucifixion, there can be no salvation or forgiveness of sins. Again, that's not a Protestant idea, that is common to all Christians. So you have this ethical question. What can we think about a deity like Allah in the Quran that is going to allow for so many people, including his own mother, to be deceived, but then also for billions of people throughout the 2,000 years to be deceived? What does that say about his character? What does that say about his morality? My second question comes straight from the Quran itself. I don't believe in the Quran as a Christian, but for my Muslim friends, you do believe in the Quran, so you have to tell us what this means. This is Surah Al Imran, which is Surah 3, verse 54. It says that they deceived, meaning the Jews, and Allah deceived, and Allah is the best of all deceivers. Wa makaru wa makar Allah wa Allahu khairul makirin. The Arabic sounds pretty, even if the ethical meaning is somewhat questionable and problematic. So anyway, there are other translations, deceivers, for example, God is the best of all, or Allah is the best of all planners or schemers. But really, I think the best translation is deceiver. I think that's the most straightforward one. So my question is, if Allah openly describes himself as the best of deceivers in the context of the crucifixion story, how can we be sure he isn't deceiving us about anything else? Christians are commanded to test everything and hold fast to what is good. We are told God cannot lie. If Allah says that he's the greatest of deceivers or schemers, then how do we know, how can you, my Muslim friend, know that any of his revelation about salvation or the prophets or the afterlife, how can you know that any of that is actually true? Again, I'm asking these questions with sincerity, with an open heart. I'm not trying to mock anyone. Now, Muslims might say Allah is all wise and he knows what he's doing. I respect the answer, but it's kind of lazy. As a Christian who loves Muslims, I have to ask, is wisdom that includes deliberate deception something we should be comfortable calling divine? Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. He never once described the Father as the best of deceivers. Instead, he said the devil is the father of lies. That contrast, it matters to me. How you understand these verses in a way that allows you to trust Allah completely, I want to know from my Muslim friends. And for my Christian friends who are watching this and listening to this, take down these references. Feel free to share these questions with your Muslim friends. We're not asking these questions to attack people or to belittle anyone. We're not doing that. We believe that truth matters, and we believe that Jesus tells us the truth about God. In the end, either Islam is correct or Christianity is correct. And it all comes down not to theological beliefs about God. It really comes down in the end to you have two options. You have two men, Jesus of Nazareth, Muhammad of Mecca, and one of these people is telling you the truth about who God is, how you can live at peace with God, and how you can live at peace with your neighbor. You need to decide which one of these men is telling you the truth. But one thing for sure is you cannot have both of them. And I ask again, my Muslim friend, what does it mean to say Allahu khairul makirin, he is the best of all deceivers or the best of all schemers? And also, how can you say that Allah is good and righteous, but at the same time will deceive Mary, the very mother of Jesus, and the only woman mentioned by name in the Quran? These are sincere questions, and I invite you to consider them and to give us answers.